So without further ado, let's hop into some patch notes. As always, I don't like to do these by myself because then it's just me rambling on and on forever, and I do like listening to myself talk, but it is a limit. So, as always, I brought in the one and only. He's gonna hit you with that tribal hex inflex. Cran carry. Cran, how you doing tonight? I'm doing well. I'm super excited for things we're going to talk about is the two active skills you can have. High jump is the first one. This one's very straightforward. It launches you into the air, and from there you can activate either your glider or your attack. The other side of that, the other ability is Dragon Enchantment. Now this is the one that I like. It is very similar to Punisher, where you activate it, and then your melee attacks are going to have a bleed effect as well as an MP drain effect on them. I think that if you are talking about overpowered or strong, that is super strong. So a Dragon Enchantment is pretty much just Punisher. You activate it, you get a buff, and then you get increased movement speed. You get the MP drain on melee attacks as well as a small bleed. And then the final thing you get is a little bit of a speed burst. The other one is one of the passive abilities that we can talk about next, and that is the Dragon Ire, and that is if you are damaged by somebody, they are marked. So that mark only shows up if they damage you. So that's something that is very counterable because you don't have to shoot the Dragoon if you don't want to be marked, etc.
Gotcha,
So
yeah.
in team play,
I think I misread then.
Yeah.
Then, so
in team play, there is some counterplay there. I think will be very doable, but it is still a very strong ability. And personally, I'm gonna run that. Like, I want to be the thing that stands out about Dragoon to me is not the mobility. I really like the mobility, and I think that people are gonna find ways to counter that. For me, the thing that I really like about Dragoon, or the thing that I think is gonna like make them stand out as a class, is the anti mage that they bring to the table, where they're draining MP from their melee attacks as well as from this marked target if they do end up marking them. So if the sorcerer is the one that attacks them and they get marked, you're going to be draining their MP as fast as they can regenerate it. Hopefully, we'll see how strong it is. But I mean, that's my game plan as far as the Dragoon goes. Personally, I think that high jump is going to be a little redundant because you can get this activated from jumping off of cliffs. And I'm pretty sure that arrow is also going to activate your Sky Predator. So for me, high jump just feels a little bit redundant when you can have two different MP drains, as you pointed out earlier.
Yeah, I think that's the key here, in my opinion, is again being able to take up to 5 MP in one swing is absolutely just mind blowing to me. So again, I again, until it all plays out, I don't know. Nobody knows, but it just seeing the kit that they've put into this is just put a lot of eggs into one basket, if you know what I mean.
And then the final two passive abilities are the air shield, which I can't think of the name off the top of my head. It's a little far. Air wall. Sorry, the Japanese translated text is kind of small for me here. Air wall. And that will block damage from any incoming gunfire that is lower than you. So that's fairly strong for something that's going to be in the air and mobility a lot. But I feel like that's lackluster. The next one that is a little bit stronger is the wide swing, where continuous melee attacks do hit in a farther arc. So that one I feel like is a little bit competitive. Like, we might see that one here and there. But for me, the Dragon's Ire and the Dragon's Enchantment are what I want to use as a melee class that's getting in close.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
What about the chat? What do you guys feel is going to be the go-to build for Dragoon so far? If you had to pick right now, what skills and what to the Dark Cloud and the Scorpion Sentinel, where it's going to spawn on the field as the boss fight, and if you defeat it, there's going to be loot, including what could be a summon, and that summon is going to turn you into Bahamut this time. Like, it's similar to you turn into Cloud, and what you're going to get from this one is some different abilities where you're going to fly up into the sky. You're going to have a spin attack, a flare breath, an aerial rave, and then the final mega flare. And Crane, have you seen some of this? Like all of it just screams like Final Fantasy summon, and like I'm here to take over this map. I just look super fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it and it does definitely look fun. It adds a new factor to the game. I liked the cloud effect. Although I do believe that it was very hard for a lot of the community to actually defeat Cloud, including myself. I struggled with it for a very long time until you really start to kind of figure it out. But they don't really give you any, real pointers. It's just kind of the community coming together and saying, hey, try this, try that, try the deep strat, try this, try that. Before chocobos were nerfed, using chocobos. So there was definitely the community camaraderie, which was great, and having everybody come together to be able to help each other out and how to get it done.
Did definitely gave me that old school like WoW raid feel where we had to come up with strategies in order to figure out how to defeat this boss on the field. But then it also has that other effect on the community where people are getting really mad that they're trying to take down this boss, and then all of a sudden a third party comes over and steals away everything they worked hard for. They did try to fix some of that where if you do enough damage, you still get credit for it, but it still is kind of disappointing to do all that work and then be taken out of the match because you got damaged a little bit too much and then got taken out. So there's definitely still some strategy in there. And I think it's still a healthy element for a competitive game because it adds this risk factor of do I want to take the chance to get this powerful thing or do I want to play it safe? So I think it's very healthy for the competitive atmosphere, and overall I do agree that like it is going to be like interesting to see whether the community will come together and try to defeat this or if it's going to be a free for all. Like, hey, I want this summon and I'm going to win this what game. You touched on a little bit earlier, the guns. We have the Inferno Cannon and the Flare Slower is what you were trying to get at earlier.
The Flare Slower.
The Inferno Cannon is the one that we want to talk about, and this is going to have two different firing modes. It's going to have a homing target fire mode as well as a laser fire mode where if you hold the trigger, you shoot one continuous strong laser. This looks like a ton of fun. It's kind of close to the the Polestar we have now, where you get that charged up fire. Where the Polestar felt like a shotgun, this one's just gonna feel like a long range missile coming at you, and I'm really excited to get this one in my hands.
Yeah, it's kind of like a mixture of a railgun and a Polestar, kind of, with like a homing beacon on it. I don't know. I mean, it just, again, that was one of the things that excited me out of all of the patch notes. I mean, obviously Dragoon's huge, and that's, that's a big deal, but so is Bahamut. But again, this, for some reason, stands out to me. So I guess I'm looking forward to playing with it in game and seeing what type of damage you can get from it. I hope it's not disappointing or lacklusting. Like, again, the Polestar is very lacklusting, in my opinion, and I think everybody kind of agrees with that. It's just kind of a almost useless gun.
I think I'm going to use a lot of is the flame slower. I think it was what it translated to. I think it's just a flamethrower. Flare thrower is what it says, but I think it was translated wrong on the screen. The flare thrower is just a flamethrower. I personally, I mean, I love to play melee classes. I use the bomb launcher. If I find a shelter ring, I instantly go and try to farm for a bomb launcher. So this is just gonna be like bread and butter for me. If I get this, I'm going in close and I'm just gonna light everybody on fire. This one I'm really excited about. The new materia coming, and that is teleport. The way this is gonna work is there's gonna be two spawn points when you cast this materia. One close and one far away, and then when you enter that portal, you would be teleported to the second location. There is some limitation on this. They did say that if you travel through it, the exit point becomes unusable for 3 seconds. That's for anyone. One of the changes they made to Ranger is that Assess now is going to show the remaining HP of the targets that you target. I believe it's going to be from the start, but I did see something. Yeah, so it's going to show the HP bars of the people that you target with your Assess. That I feel like is going to be big because you personally like running the ranger, and now you're going to know not only where the person is, what class they are, their name, so that if this is something you play prior, you're going to know their fighting style, but now you're also going to know if they're low on health. And if they are, you're going to know that, hey, I can push that person. Or if they're higher on health, you're going to know, hey, I need to back up. So this is a huge buff in one skill to the ranger. And
I agree.
being a class that you play, how do you feel about just that assess change?
I mean, I thought again when we were speculating what could be done, this wasn't even on my radar. So I mean, I think it's a great addition without breaking the game. Now, I do think that it's definitely going to play a factor in the later parts of the game, when you are, let's say, there's 2, 3 teams left, other than yours. So maybe again, like 3, 4 teams on the field, being able to spot from if you're close enough and scan and seeing who's lit. Yeah, I think it's gonna help people who aren't using voice comms specifically. It's going to help them very much, because common sense. Aim for the guy who's low, aim for the guy who's healing, aim for the guy who's going to heal, get that one person down to get the advantage. So I do think that this is a huge buff, and I do think that it's a balanced buff. I don't think that there's any need to like pull anything back. I think they did a really good job on keeping it fair and balanced in the buff. So yeah, this is one I'm very excited about personally.
So the next thing I'm going to talk about is my personal favorite. The final thing we're going to talk about is something that Lady Zytera said that she's hyped for, and that is the monk changes. Monk strengthen the style, the characteristic secret technique. I don't know if that's what it's called in English. I haven't played monk enough to know what that one is. When it's activated, the first stage of melee attacks change to jump kick. Jump kick has a greatly expanded range and attack guidance range. So that is going to be very similar to the warrior dash now. They already added in a slight range jump with the monk's melee attacks. Clearly, they're deciding that that was not enough. So now they are going to make it. So yeah, that's what I think it is too, Ladies Zytera, is that it's the when you're below 20% health, your critical strike attacks. I believe those are now going to have a kick at the beginning so that you can close the gap. This has me terrified to fight monks. Even as a warrior, like right now, if I get close to a monk, if I don't get the knockback, I get my distance immediately because I'm scared at that point. So now, like, that monk is going to be able to close the gap on me after I try to, like, get in for a quick sword attack and then back out and hit him with a fireball or something. Monks are just becoming very scary in the melee. So now we're going to have monks, dragoons, and warriors all in the melee. Just going crazy. It's going to be so much fun. I feel like there's going to be a lot of thunder and fireballs to be had.